Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our virtual Dawn Chorus guided walk. We're just going to give it a minute to allow for late attendees to come in. They're still coming in by the look of it on my screen. Hello, Bristol. People from everywhere. That's brilliant. Morning, Jan. Morning, Neil. I'm not going to be able to say good morning to everybody. Rose from Lancaster. Yeah, I think I might know Rose from Lancaster. Well, I'm going to put the chat to one side for now. Otherwise, I'll be distracted. So, welcome everybody, and happy International Dawn Chorus Day. Helen and I up so you don't have to. And what we did was we went out a day on a morning in late April and filmed the Dawn Chorus Walk, which you'll be able to see in a minute. So we did start very, very early, and we started while it was still dark, and it's not the easiest to do the filming when it's dark. So we started in the dark, and then what we did was we tried to do it as though you were with us on a Dawn Chorus guided walk. So a guided walk round Barkbooth Lot, round our reserve at Barkbooth Lot. So where I'll talk a little bit about the reserve, about what's special about the reserve, and we'll see and get a real feel for being in a woodland setting in Britain at this time of year for dawn. Now, don't worry if you don't quite get all the bird noises, because it's quite difficult for us to film this. So, and I think it's turned out really, really well. And some of the birds come out really, really, you'll be able to pick them out. But everybody will be getting a recording of the film so that you can rewind it and re-find the birds if that's what you're after, specifically, because sometimes you might just miss them, or sometimes there's so much going on that it's quite difficult to actually pick them out. This is a brilliant one for us in terms of health and safety, because we don't have to worry about ticks and we don't have to worry about social distancing. So you'll receive a copy. I said that. What we did do, there will be plenty of time come the end for any questions. So if you have any questions as we're going along, if you want to type them into the chat, and then Helen will sort out the questions and mark them up for me, and there'll be time for me to answer questions come the end of it. Now, like I said, we did start at dawn, and we started when it was pretty much dark. So what we decided to do was to give you the full Dawn Chorus type experience. Is that the first 5 minutes, so don't worry about it, but the first 5 minutes of the film is just the Dawn Chorus, so that you can immerse yourself in that experience. I've lost my thing there. Okay, so sit back, turn the volume up, relax. I'm going to turn my microphone and camera off, and you'll all be able to enjoy the Dawn Chorus at Barkbooth Lot. I hope you really like it.
Right, good morning everybody. Welcome to Barkbooth Lot Nature Reserve. Me and Helen have got up so you don't have to. It's just after dawn, towards the end of April, and we're going to have a quick walk around the reserve and take in the sights and sounds of dawn at Barkbooth. As you can hear, the birds are already in absolute full swing. Raven going over there, and we'll try and point out a few of the highlights, wildlife highlights of the reserve, and tell you a bit about Barkbooth and what we do here. So let's go in, see what we can see. So one of the things about a wood like Barkbooth is that it's been here a long time. Like, this is low fell plantation, so it's obviously a planted woodland, and a lot of the trees are even aged. It's a beautiful oak woodland. It's got lots of other species in it. It's got beautiful wet hollows with alder growing, and it's got some really lovely ancient yews that grow on the rocky knolls. Now, the thing about a woodland that's been here a long time is that the trees have had this fantastic opportunity to make these relationships with the soil, fauna and flora. So mycorrhiza, fungal mycorrhiza, will be throughout this soil, connecting all of these trees and all of these woodland plants that cover the floor. That means that you get this fantastic recycling of nutrients because the soil and the ecosystem is really healthy. So there's masses and masses of carbon locked into those woodland soils, and that fuels the native trees, the beautiful flora that covers the ground floor, that gives this early season nectaring, means that it attracts masses and massive invertebrates. And that's what the birds want. That's what the birds come all the way back from Africa in their millions for, is the invertebrates in these fantastic working ecosystems. And as we can see here, not quite at their best, give them a couple of weeks, but the bluebells are out now. The woodland floor is carpeted with bluebells in Barkbooth, and it's definitely a sight worth coming to see. Fantastic, like I said, early season nectaring plant for pollinators. And these plants are desperately trying to do what they do, flower, set seed and die back again before the canopy fills out and before all those leaves come back onto the trees. So they're grabbing the light before the trees do, and it becomes a completely different place. So the tit that's calling from over there, I hope you can hear it. That one, the repeated chee-chee-chee-chee-chee. I'm pretty sure that's a marsh tit. Tits have lots and lots of different songs. Lots of very similar ones. But the marsh tit has a very specific kind of squelchiness to the start of its notes. Again, I don't know whether you can hear, but there's a very high-pitched little song going on in the background. This is a really difficult one. This is one of the ones that the kids get better because they get those high-pitched noises. But in fact, it's the call of the tree creeper. Ridiculously high-pitched, thin, very difficult one to pick up at the best of times, really. And it has a beautiful song, a little similar to the goldcrest, which hopefully we'll hear at some point. That's the marsh tit song again. So similar to the other tits, but with that squelchy introduction. That's how I think of it anyway. And that That I'm pretty sure is a blue tit for comparison, singing from up there. In fact, it is. So we've got all three tits here. We've got the marsh tit over there, the blue tit up there, and there was a great tit doing its very regular teacher, teacher, teacher type call song from just over here. On here we can hear this beautiful kind of liquid song with the big gaps in. And that's the song of the robin. And that's a really recognisable one. Not least because robins sing all winter. So it's kind of one of the benchmarks that I always think of as a song that you can hear all winter. Keep in your mind before all these migrants come back and start to make everything much more complicated. We can also hear there the repeated phrases of the song thrush. Stop now. But the song thrush has a really, really strident, strong sounding voice, and really stands out within the woodland. And it chooses a phrase. It picks a phrase and then repeats it, discards it, and picks another phrase, and it never seems to. There's one behind. It never seems to repeat the same phrase twice. Does a bit of mimicry. Can sometimes sound a bit blackbirdy. And then that and that those two are two great tits singing against each other with a different kind of song. That's the more typical teacher, teacher, but great tits are phenomenal for the variety of noises and songs that they come out with, all with the same kind of timbre, so that you can kind of pick them out. So the very repetitive sound, so that's the great tit over there. It's a bit similar when you're trying to describe it. But that one there, chop, 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 that's the chiff-chaff, onomatopoeic bird. So it's named after its sound. And the chiff-chaff is a common migrant, but the chiff-chaff comes back from North Africa, and this is how I remember this one. So the chiff-chaff, which comes back from North Africa and Southern Europe, doesn't go to Sub-Saharan Africa. It looks ridiculously similar to the willow warbler, which we'll hear out on the fell. And one of the main differences is the chiff-chaff's wings are shorter than the willow warbler's wings, and the willow warbler has to fly much further because that comes back from Sub-Saharan Africa. They look ridiculously similar, apart from the wing size, bit of leg colour, but they sound completely different. That's the chiff-chaff. And that descending notes was the willow warbler, just on time, on cue. So that incredibly strident song, now that's a nuthatch. Now weep, 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 weep. But that song there, with a little trill at the end, very specific song, very loud song from a tiniest little bird, that's the wren's song. Let's sing again. There, really recognisable. Same phrase each time, repeats it each time, normally pretty much the same, with that trill at the end. And again, wren's a bird that holds a territory over the winter, so it sings over the winter, and it's one that you can really get your ear in for. And that's the nuthatch calling again. That's amazing. Did that come out? So, like I said earlier, Barkbooth Lot plantation here, there's a lot of even-aged trees. There isn't a ridiculous amount of ancient trees, which would be preferable in a wood like this, and it means there isn't a lot of tree holes as nesting habitat. So one of the things that we can do, which is such an easy win in terms of creating habitat, is supplying nesting holes for birds by putting bird boxes up. And this is something anybody can do in their garden or in the local wood, and it's such a great easy win. And as we just saw and we just heard, there's a blue tit in this nest box, and we've just put up 30 new nest boxes round Barkbooth to give those nesting sites for all of those birds. So a minute ago there was a goldcrest calling from this tree, and often as not, where you find a conifer, there'll be a goldcrest. It's quite incredible, and they have a ridiculously high pitched, again, difficult one for older people, one for the kids really, a ridiculously high little, very distinctive song that kind of goes t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t in a very rhythmic manner. So very similar to the tree creepers in being high pitched, but it has a much more rhythmical sound, and it's quite distinctive once you get your ear in. So the goldcrests are the ones we find in these beautiful ancient yew trees here at Barkbooth. The reason we get such a beautiful, wonderful dawn chorus is all of these birds arriving back in their woods wanting to nest. And basically this is mainly, it's pretty much predominantly all the male birds singing. And the male birds are saying, here I am, you know, trying to attract a mate in, finding the best possible nesting sites, the best hole, you know, the best site where they're going to be able to bring up young, like I said, attracting a mate in, and then holding that territory and kind of saying, you know, this is only big enough for one blue tit round here, and this is my area, and defending it. And that's why we get this phenomenal event every morning when all these birds wake up and defend their territory. I thought I just heard a redstart sing amongst the rest of the noises. There's a black cap chatting away, that's its call from over there. And redstarts are a bird that is more a bird of the woodland edge, and we put out open-fronted nest boxes to try to attract redstarts in and give them somewhere to nest. Again, a bird just back from Africa. There's that one there, there's a chaffinch singing from this oak tree here. Chaffinch, again, very recognisable call, song, repeats the same thing every time. That one there, and it's got a squelchy trill on the end. That one. If you can pick that out amongst all the other birds that are singing. If you can hear actually two kind of incessant warblings. That was a wren as well, but there's a black cap singing from over there and another one singing from over here. And quite an amazing kind of wonderful warble of notes, starting off quite fluid and then usually ending up in some scratchy tones at the end. And blackcap's one of those warblers that again doesn't necessarily come back all the way from sub-Saharan Africa, but and even over winters at times in this country. And that chatting noise coming from just over there, I think is also the blackcap, like a contact or warning call. Brilliant. So, singing from over here is a pied flycatcher. That's my first of the year. If you can pick it out, that's that small repeated phrase. So these birds are quite incredible in that they've been shown to come back to the same nest boxes from Africa every year, and even their progeny come back to the same wood every year, and a real speciality of an oak woodland like this. And one of the reasons we put up the nest boxes, pied flycatchers have nest boxes with just that little bit bigger hole, but also they use some of the holes in the oak trees that we've already got. Well, that's brilliant. First of the year. Okay, so now we're going to leave the wood, head out onto the fell and see what else we can find. Still early for a lot of things. So we'll see, maybe we haven't got our first cuckoo yet. We can hear wood pigeon actually. Woo 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 woo. Woo 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 woo. Just calling from over there, and another one from over here. And that's a willow warbler singing from just here. Maybe we'll get no, we're not going to get much closer than that. So that's brilliant. Willow warbler and Barkbooth, the lot out here on amongst this scrubby fellside, is the most phenomenal place for willow warblers. We get tens of males holding territory, you know, up to 40 at a time. So incredible density because of all this scrub. And again, fueled by the fantastic amount of invertebrates. The invertebrates is the key, because that's what all these birds are coming back for. That's what they're all flying back from Africa for. I think I just saw a tree pipit as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get closer to a tree pipit in a bit, but again, that would be my first of the season. It is. Right, so here we are at the pond at Barkbooth. A really special pond, even though it's a man-made pond. Been here for a long time, and we had a report done by the Freshwater Habitats Trust that had this pond as one of the top 10% in the country in terms of species, in terms of plants, invertebrates and water quality. So quite incredible. Really rare inverts like the medicinal leech and the mud pond snail. Not a species I really know, but and also really good for its aquatic plants. And again, you know, it's one of the things that fuels this fantastic invertebrate fauna that we have on the site. So 13 species of dragonfly as well breed in the pond, including the locally scarce downy emeralds. Right, so we just heard our first tree pipit of the season. Hopefully we'll be able to get a bit closer to it and you'll be able to get an idea of the song. It seems to have disappeared. And then while we were listening for the tree pipit, 2 redpoll just went over, which are another speciality of Barkbooth Lot. Redpoll, one that doesn't migrate to Africa, stays around over the winters in this country, and then sets up territory here. And you can normally hear them flying over with that beautiful rattly call that they have. We'll go and try and find this tree pipit and see if we can get a bit of a recording of it. So here we are, and this is first tree pipit of the year. My first tree pipit of the year. And you can just hear it singing perched from that hawthorn over there, and it does the that's it. The distinctive bit, or I find the distinctive bit, is they have these specific choo 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 passages, and it's singing perched at the moment, and often the song is more elaborate when they take off and do their song flight, and as they parachute back down they do the choo 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 choo, which seems to be missing at the moment while it's not flying. So one of the special things about Barkbooth, I think one of the most special things about Barkbooth, is this wonderful acid grassland, species-rich acid grassland, which is a really rare habitat and so easily destroyed by agricultural improvement, which is what makes it so rare. And this grassland, as you can see, is covered in these fantastic ants' nests. Each one must hold hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these yellow meadow ants. The place is covered in them. So the invertebrate load here is absolutely phenomenal. And I truly believe that this wonderful, species-rich, flower-rich grassland, ancient grassland, is the kind of powerhouse behind all the invertebrate life that lives out here on the fell. And it's that invertebrate life, like I said, that all the birds come back from Africa for. Right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our walk around Barkbooth this morning. I hope you've been able to get a good feel for what the dawn chorus is like and what the fantastic bird life of Barkbooth and the wood are like at this time of the year when everything's vibrant and singing. And hopefully, as conditions allow and restrictions allow, you'll be able to come and visit and see Barkbooth for yourselves. Thanks a lot.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. That's something completely different than we did. We've never made a film before. We've never tried to record birdsong before, and I think I must admit, massive thanks go out to Helen, who's answering the questions and queries in the chat at the moment. But I thought for me and Helen going out early one morning to try to record the experience, I thought we did rather well. Now, I do totally understand that it's difficult to pick out the birds, or especially when you're not there, and I can't point out exactly where the sounds are coming from. But it's difficult when you're out there, and especially at that time of the morning, because there's this massive cacophony going on, and things singing from everywhere. So it is quite difficult. We are going to send out a recording, like I said at the start, so you will be able to rewind it and go back to certain bits and see if you can pick those songs out. And specifically, Jane asked about picking out the birds. What I would say is that if you can't really hear it on the film, or you're having difficulty picking it out, then there's a brilliant website called Zenocanto. So that's XENO-CANTO, Zenocanto. And basically, that's a that's a website where people put recordings of birds, and you can type in song thrush, and you can listen to the song, and it's brilliant. There you go. Helen's just put a link to it up in the chat there. So for anything that you want to know further, there are a lot of recordings. It can be quite over-facing in itself, but it's a brilliant resource, and it's well worth going to and having a listen. Other questions that came through. Vera asked where Barkbooth is. So Barkbooth is at the head of the Winster Valley. It's quite a quiet part of the Lake District in the south of the Lake District, and all the details and directions of how to get there are on our website. So if you want to know any further, just go to the website. That's cumbriawildlifetrust.org.uk, and you can find out where all our nature reserves are, and they're all brilliant. So really worth a visit. There was a question as well from Francis. Francis says, can I attract birds by playing the sound back to them? Now, this is, you can. So, but you can also cause birds a hell of a lot of stress by doing this. I know some people, and especially in other countries, it's less frowned upon, but in this country, it's really quite frowned upon to try to attract birds in by playing their song back to them. And you can, like I said, you can cause birds to get really stressed out because they don't really know what's happening, especially if you play their own song back to them. So it's brilliant to use the apps and to find out what the birds sound like. You can get all sorts of apps on your phone. I have the Collins Bird Guide on my phone, which has all the bird calls and songs, and I can use that out in the field if I don't recognise something, or if I want to check something. So absolutely brilliant resources on your phone, but I not playing it back to try to attract the bird out, I'm afraid. And then there's a question from Janet. She says, how long does it take to build up knowledge of birdsong? I'd say you're always still learning, and every year, because I don't in any way consider myself to be an expert, but it takes me every year. I put bird tapes on in the car while I'm driving around, because all these birds, they sing for a short period during the spring, and then they're gone, you know, and we don't see them for the whole of the winter. So I have to remind myself come the spring as to what everything sounds like. And I also do a couple of survey squares for the BTO, the British Trust for Ornithology, and there's a lot of picking up the birds by their calls and songs. So again, I have to refresh my my memory every year to try to get them back into my head. So you're always learning, but it's a great thing to do. And I think the thing is to just go out and watch birds. That's the best way to do it. Watch birds and listen to how they sound. And I think that's all for the questions. I'd just like to say thank you, everybody, for coming. That's absolutely brilliant. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope it inspires you to get out. Apparently, David Attenborough has been on the radio this morning saying that the British dawn chorus is probably one of the best dawn choruses in the world. You know, in the temperate climate where we live, with the migrants that come back. So, and it's a brilliant time to get out now, before the leaves are all back on the trees and you can actually see the birds. Because once all of the trees are in full leaf, then that gets it gets quite difficult. So thank you all for coming. Big thanks to Helen for doing the filming and doing all the admin behind this today and setting it up. And also fantastic thanks to Sarah, who edited that video and made me look good, as far as I can see. Like I said, if you want any further information about our nature reserves, it's all available on our website, cumbriawildlifetrust.org.uk. And if you'd like to support us in our work or join Cumbria Wildlife Trust, again, you can become a member via that website. And that's all from me. So I hope you have a wonderful bank holiday weekend, what's left of it, and get out and listen to some birdsong. Thank you very much.